Could you use a quick tip daily? How about a tip that can impact your day? My name is Raphael. Join me as I bring you tips by experts around the world. These experts have shared their knowledge and wisdom with me and will directly share them with you. Make sure to subscribe, like, follow, and comment, and I would love for you to become part of the New Tip Daily community. Carl, thank you so much for joining me on New Tip Daily today, my friend. How are you?
Sifu, I'm so thrilled to be here. Thanks for inviting me to join you today.
Oh man, it's always a pleasure. Every time you and I talk, it's always fun, man.
It's like we're old friends just sitting down having a beverage of some kind, whatever brew we decide to
Exactly.
have, and it's just that's what I like about it. It's just a conversation. That's the way it should be, right?
It is. It is. And I appreciate you coming on today because I know you have exceptional tips that you're going to be sharing with everybody today. So, when we consider what you do,
hmm
you're a communicator, you're a speaker, you're a podcast host, and you're going to give us a couple of tips on maybe all of those things. So I'm super excited about that. As a podcaster, as a speaker, as somebody who teaches communication, I can always use more tips without a doubt.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I think the biggest thing when we're looking at be it speaking, be it podcasting, and I spend a lot of time in the podcasting space now, but I think that the biggest thing that or the biggest question I can answer when people come to me, and they usually come to me saying, "Hey, I want to start a podcast and I don't know what to do, and I've got all this,
Mm,
and I've got all these ideas and all these things going on." I say, "Okay, well, we start with, and not to sound like another thought leader or anything, a very famous one, but I'll say, what's your why? What's the reason why
mm,
you're doing this? Why do you want to do this? Because if it doesn't align with your values, if it doesn't align with your business goals, if it doesn't align with where you're at in business right now, it's not going to work. So we really have to
mhm.
look at why is it you want to do this? I think that's the biggest place to start is, are you just doing it because a coach said it's time? Because that's the other thing. People will say, well, a coach said it was time. So I went and I did this free webinar and I got a lot of information. And there's something to be said about free, by the way. Free comes at a price somewhere down the line if you haven't gotten either the right information or the right roadmap to get you from point A to point B or to get you started on your
Mm,
journey. So, but
right.
that's the biggest question that I think that I answer. And when people go, "Oh, I didn't even think about it that way," they then have to go back to the drawing board and say, "Well, now what do I do?" So
Mhm.
then we can usually engage in a conversation when we start to figure out what's the bigger reason behind this.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So the why. Yeah, and you said something really important, and I hope people listen to what you said because communication is everything. But
Mhm.
you said a word, and I don't know if people really caught it, and it's free.
Oh, oh, that word.
Right.
Yes.
Because I nothing is ever free. You always wind up
Mhm.
paying the price, and the price may be your time. And man, that is more valuable than anything else
Oh
because you may
gosh,
waste it too.
time is the most precious commodity that we have. And I've had individuals come to me and say, "Yeah, I did this free workshop and I didn't get anything out of it." And I'll say, "Okay, well, what were you expecting from it
Mhm,
if it was free?" So then they've spent, an hour, even if it's only an hour. You
mhm,
spent an hour of your time where you could have been investing that on, for example, a one-on-one call with myself, or even, I mean, you, Sifu, saying, "Hey, I want to spend some time with you and get some information so I can make the right decision." But free generally comes at a cost down the line, and I think what's happening, especially in the podcasting space, is
mhm.
there's this misconception that because we're so accustomed to conventional media,
Yeah.
okay, conventional media is perceived as free because you don't have to turn on your radio or your TV.
Mm.
Well, conventionally speaking,
Right,
streamable
right.
content is different, but you don't have to turn on your television and your radio and put in a quarter every time you want to hear the next 15 minutes, right? Or the next 20 minutes. It's essentially free, but what we don't understand is we pay for it on the back end in advertising.
Mhm.
It's been that way in print for years. It's, even watching something like, big event down in the the US, that big football game that happens every year. Some of the
Hmm.
biggest ads on the planet, some of the most memorable ones come from that space.
Right.
The show itself to us is free, but somebody's paying for it. Well, now when you put yourself as the business owner in that space and you're saying, okay, I want to get into this podcasting thing. It sounds like it's great. It's exciting. I listen to podcasts. I'm engaged by them. Oh man, is this going to fit in my budget? I'm going to check out something for free. And
Mm.
I'll be honest, Sifu, I used to run free workshops. I used to run a free workshop week. It wasn't free at all, by the way, because I gave a very small amount of information
Mm.
with the intention that on this third or fourth day, I would be selling people into a larger program that would then get them all of the information and get them on the path that they needed. So the
Right.
information itself was free, but the actual let's get started, let's do this came at came at a price.
Of
The
course.
free information that the free information that's shared where there is no offer or a very low priced offer at the end of it, what we're finding is that you're still getting the wrong information
Mm.
in that space. And it's one of the things that I'm waving the flag about and standing on a soapbox saying, be careful of free information, because there are some pretty savvy business owners who are stepping into this space and they're saying, I really want this. I really want this.
Mm.
And if I can get it for free, great.
Right.
The challenge is you're possibly getting the wrong information. Firstly, a lot of stuff that we're hearing is you can do your podcast for free. It costs you nothing. I do mine on my phone. You can do it too. But
Mm.
it's giving a stronger message that if you're looking for something for free, imagine if your clients did that. Imagine if all your clients came to you and said, well, I'd love what you have, but I
Right.
want it for free, right? So
Mm.
we're really starting to see that. And the savvy business owners, the ones who are really quick to recognize that free comes at a price, they're the ones who are going to succeed at this. The ones who are semi-savvy, I guess I'll say, are the ones who are going to struggle because they're the
Right.
ones who are still looking for free, not realizing that anytime you invest in your brand, in your business, it's an investment in that, but it's also an investment in you,
Hmm.
right? I've said a lot in that two to
No,
three
I
minutes,
love
but
it. I love
I
it
know I
because
just unpacked a ton.
yeah, I mean, we're on StreamYard, and believe it or not, StreamYard has a free option. I
Absolutely.
never went with the free option. Why? Because
Oh,
their logo's on top, right?
yep.
It's not
Yeah.
mine. So I don't even pay for the basic one. I pay for the pro one because I want all the bells and whistles.
Hmm.
Because I know that for me, in order for me to have a successful show, it needs to be there. I can do whatever I want with this. I can throw
Absolutely.
videos on there. I can do, all different kinds of things. And then the other thing that you mentioned football. And a lot of people sit for hours on end on a Sunday morning, or from morning till late afternoon, sometimes all the
Yeah.
way to the evening. And yeah, they're getting it for free, but are they? And
Hmm.
who's paying the price? No honeydew lists are being
Yeah.
done.
That's right.
So the wife may be a little annoyed, or here's the thing: if the wife is the one that says, "Hey, the game's coming on. Let's sit down and watch," then you may have a better outcome, right? Because now
Mhm.
you're spending time together, you're talking about it. But even if you're going to sit down and watch a movie with someone, is that quality time,
Mhm.
or is that
Mhm.
just somebody else entertaining each one of you? Because you're all going to get a
Yeah.
different message anyway, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
So it's the quality time that I think that we need to learn to spend with one another. Yes, we
I'm
may pay for streaming services,
yeah.
but we're really paying without time. Are we going to spend the time, or can we do something in order to become more? If we want that shiny new car, if we want this, you know, for all argument's sake, right? This brand new computer or this new thing or whatever it is, are we wasting our time watching something?
Well, here's the other thing, even if we want better health,
Mm.
and I'm not a fitness coach by any means. As a matter of fact, I'm working on my health right now, but I recognize that part of that quality time where I might be sitting on the couch, we all sit on the couch, we all need downtime, we
Mm. Oh, I
recognize
I
that.
sit.
But but I also recognize that I can spend a whole day now that I'm, a solopreneur building a small agency. I can spend a whole day sitting in my office. Bad First bad thing is I should stand every now and again, right? But I'll spend the whole day sitting there working away going, I've been productive today, but I haven't been outside. I haven't breathed fresh air. I
Mhm.
haven't touched nature. And nature is nurture. And again, I'm not going to go in this, woo-woo space and
Right,
talk
right.
about that, but it's been proven time and time again that you need to get out into nature. You need to touch the outdoors. You need to breathe fresh air, not just the recirculated stuff that's, even if it's in your house, it's still recirculated, right? So you
Mhm.
need to do that, even if it's only for 15-20 minutes. You
Oh,
need to
yeah.
do that. You need to, if for no other reason, to clear your head, because this thing, hardest distance traveled is from one ear to the other, even though my
Mm.
spouse says looks pretty hollow from my vantage point. But it's still, you need to clear this out every now and again, and fresh air is great for that. But there's a bigger message there too, Sifu, whereas how much time are we spending in this zone? Even if it's only a couple of hours a day, that adds up to 14 hours in a week,
Mm.
minimum, minimum.
Mm. Yeah,
So,
yeah. You know, when we think about, even if we go to an event, right?
mhm,
Let's say a workshop or seminar, and here's the way I see things, right? If I go to a free event, there's two things I know for a fact. I have to clear my schedule to make that
mhm,
time.
mhm,
And the second one, I know for a fact that I'm going to be sold. Now, if I pay before I go to the event, I may still get sold, but I'm paying for the information that I'm looking for. So
mhm,
one of the things that I've heard 1,000 times over, and I'm very strong proponent of it, if you pay, you wind up paying attention,
mhm.
right?
Yeah,
This is why
100%.
I'm not cheap with any services I provide, because guess what? I want an attentive audience, right?
It's one of the reasons why we stopped offering free services. Yeah, we'll do, Facebook Lives, they're
Mhm.
free.
Right,
Okay.
right.
There's things we post on social media and you get emails from me, they're free. I'm not going to charge every time I send an email, but we do jumpstart boot camps now. We're
Mm.
going to be offering marketing and monetization workshops in a very short time. Not
Nice.
because we want to charge people and gouge them, but because we recognize that we'll get an attentive audience, as you've already said, if we offer up a little bit of, some value, charge you a little bit for it, and then if there's a larger offering, you're ready for it. And if we've provided enough value for you, you might just consider it, depending on where
Mhm.
you're at in your journey.
Yeah,
Whereas the free can be like, oh, it's free. Oh, all right, no problem. I'll catch the next one. It's free. It's okay. No big deal.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think that's the other thing too is we wait. I missed the free coffee at the place that I always get. It's all right. I'll get it next time. We don't even think about it, right? But all of a sudden, if we see something of value, and it's either a limited time offer, or you'll only have the opportunity maybe every 6 months, maybe only once a year, to tap into this. I have a colleague who does a joint venture program. He'll only do this with a handful of colleagues. He
Mm.
offers it up a couple of times a year. He does a call out for the next year in and around November. All right. And there's no difference in price, by the way. Just he likes to fill them as quickly as and as efficiently as he can. He'll do the call out in November, October, November, to see who's interested. And he has a list of people that he needs to follow up with who maybe haven't done one yet. And then
Right.
usually around May or June, if he still has some openings for that calendar year, he'll reach out again and he'll say, "Hey, you want to do a joint venture with me?" And it comes at a price. But it's value that you get from that. But he sets that up, and you know what? He never, ever, ever, ever has an empty joint venture package. They're always filled every year. And
That's
they're, I don't know,
brilliant.
$6,000 or something like that, which includes a spot on his podcast. But there's so much
Mm,
value you get with that.
mm,
So, but he does this, and he says, "I do it for two reasons." I said, "Well, number one," he says, "it helps to offset some of the production costs for my show because he
right.
pays for it, which is fine." And he also says that, you know what, I get good clients, good savvy business owners who want to work and who want to, get the messaging out there. I can work with them. If they're investing that much money, they're already sold on what I
Mhm.
have. So it's an easy relationship. We can work
Right.
together that way. And he feels it all the time. All the time.
Yeah.
Never is it free.
No, never is free. But there are some things in life that are free. I mean, if you, I'm going to use 7-Eleven. If you buy
Mhm,
6 cup of coffee, you get the seventh free. What? There are some things. If you do certain things, like when I was running my smoothie bar, if you bought 10,
mhm,
you got the 11th for free.
mhm.
And they
But
weren't
that's
cheap,
still a commitment though. That's still
but
a
yeah,
commitment. You're saying to those individuals, I need you to commit to 10.
yeah,
And if you can commit to 10, you know what? Because you've been such a great client, a great customer, a loyal customer,
right,
I'll give you that 11th one for free. And guess what? It starts all over again because the 12th isn't free and the 13th isn't free.
right,
It
right, right.
starts all over again. It's just like for people who sign into programs, sometimes they'll get especially if it's a longer program, if it's a 12-month program, there might be either a monthly investment or quarterly. But if you sign up for the whole thing now, we're going to reward you by saying thank you, and we'll give you that little bit off,
Oh yeah,
right? So
oh yeah.
it works both ways, right? So,
Oh, without a
but
doubt.
definitely
One of the
great
things
strategy.
whenever I do a workshop, I had a workshop recently, and I'm gonna change it up here for you and just take a look. This is
Mhm,
Mosaic experiences that I have, right? And with Mosaic experiences, one of the things that we do is we take somebody through an experience,
mhm,
which is kind of cool. And the actual experience, no experience is free. If you're gonna go horseback riding, you gotta pay for it. If you're gonna
mhm,
go shoot some guns, you gotta pay for it. If you wanna go take a helicopter ride, you gotta pay for it. But we're gonna have an inclusive all in, but you pay for the package and you get these deals cheaper. So there's nothing wrong with getting a deal,
mhm.
right? Why do we look in the Sunday paper because there's a deal? Why does everybody go shopping on Prime Day? Hello, Prime Day,
I
because
do. That's when I get new gear.
it's I did too. Take a look. Take a look. This thing
Oh,
was
there we go.
$129, right? Guess what? I got it for 20. I got
Because you're on Prime.
$109 off. What a deal. If I
Yeah.
went to go buy it today, I'd have to spend $129.
Mhm,
And so sometimes we need incentives, right?
mhm,
We need a draw. So one of the things, and you talked about, you send an email and that's free. That's a service that you're providing to somebody, but
mhm,
that service comes with a price because they have to take the time to read it,
mhm,
right?
mhm. Yeah,
If you
sure.
if you join my community on Facebook, it's called Mosaic Experiences. If you go there, your commitment is showing up, right?
Right.
What you get out of it is just as if you went to a seminar and you paid $1,000 for it, and you show up, you go to a 2-day event, and you show up, and then on Monday you still remember it. On Tuesday, yeah, it's still there. By Friday, you moved on, you paid $1,000, and what'd you get for it? You got time spent with maybe other people. The way Mosaic Experiences works is that we do hand holding. So once the event is over, we call you, we email you, we text you, and then we have Zoom calls back and forth. So it's a community where we're getting people to not only have an experience, but to continue the experience until the next one and to ask questions. How about this? How about that? And I know I'm going to ask you to come on it too, because
Mhm,
I think that you would add so much value to this community. And that's the only kind of people I want on it, people who add value and
mhm.
who want to get value out of it. When you have a guest on your show, and we're talking about speaking and communication,
Yep.
what's one criteria that you'd like for every guest who comes on your show to be able to provide?
They need to be able to speak. I think that's
And
that's the biggest thing. But more seriously though, to answer your question, they need to come to the table and to be able to not just share their experiences, but share how be through their experiences, they can help solve your problem.
Mm.
That's a big one. And I think that sometimes people who want to get on other podcasts, they miss that mark. Is or they're trying to get on the wrong podcast. They're saying, "Hey, I
Mm.
want to come on your podcast, Carl, because I have a podcast too, or I'm a this kind of thought leader." I've had an individual reach out to me, I guess about 6 months ago, who was a chef. Say, "Oh, I'm a Red Seal chef, and I can do this, and Michelin star." And I'm like, "Okay, great. I love food, but how's that going to help my audience who are business owners, communicators? Are you talking about how you lead your team? Are you talking about
Yeah.
communication strategies? Because if you are, then fine. More than happy to have you on my show. And we'll talk about food and we'll have some fun and all that stuff."
Right.
He's like, "No, no, no. I just want to talk about food. I just want to promote what I do. And, in fact, I'm a Red Seal chef and I can do in person visits." And it wasn't even in my community. Right. So the chance of, and again, podcast being global, the chance of some of my listeners being able to even tap into that would be pretty far and wide.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
said, "It's just not a fit right now." And he was indignant. He was like, "I can't believe you don't want me as your guest." And I'm like, "You're not a fit." It's like I would not be a fit for, oh, I don't know, a podcast about hairstyles. It just wouldn't fit because I
You
don't
might
have
fit
any.
if you
Well, I
throw
might
on
fit,
different wigs, and yeah, I'm just kidding. But
but seriously, it needs to fit. And that's the big thing is sometimes it isn't a fit. And recognizing that, because if you can provide value to the listener based on your experience, and you can stay within the spirit or the realm of the, again, goes to the why. What's the purpose of the show? What's my why for my show?
mm.
So if you can fit within that, great. We're going to have a great time. You and I have had great discussions both on and off camera, which is phenomenal.
But
And just
what
because
did I
we're a
do
fit,
first? What did I do first?
oh, we had a conversation and we
We
reached
had a
out.
off, not live conversation. We had a
Yeah,
kind of an interview. I needed to
yeah.
know who you were, just like you did with
Hmm.
this chef. I had a guy who said he was a transformational coach. I said, "Great, let's have a chat." And his transformation is that he got off drugs. I said, "Okay, how long have you been sober?" Like, "Almost 6 months." I'm like, "Yeah, no." I said, "No, because on your 7th month,
Slippery
you
slope.
you might go back." I said, "No.
Yeah.
If you told me 18 years or 15 years or 12 years, then we can talk. But you're barely made a year, and you
Hmm.
wanna come on my show and talk about, how I make." And I said, "Listen, kudos, and I'm happy that
Hmm.
you're doing this." I said, "Why don't we talk in 3 years?" And then so I've had a lot of people come on, and they tell me this. I had one guy who said, "I want to be on your show." That's all he said. I said, "Okay." So I was able to get his link to his website. On his website, he had about me, and he had AI images of him. I'm like, "I don't even know who you are." And his bio was literally like 2 sentences.
Oh, jeez.
So I said to him, I said, "Hey, look, after listening to your bio, looking at your page, I don't, you, I went to your website. I can't even tell who you are as a
Hmm.
person. And you're a coach. How are you a coach? You're not telling
Yeah.
anyone about you, right?" So I think that one of the things, and that's the reason that this is not the first show you've been on, and I know
No,
you're
it's,
going to come
yeah.
on my other shows too, which I hope you will,
Yep.
um, because we we resonate with one another.
Hmm.
You bring
Hmm.
value to my audience. And I know that people are going to go, "Wait, Carl's on the show. We're going to listen," right?
Right.
Because of
Right.
the kind of person you are. So your reputation with me is already there. I know
Yeah.
anytime that I need a great guest on my show, "Carl, can you come on?" So,
Give me a call. I'm
hello.
there. Do we still do that? The rotary dial. Hello, can you get on my
Not road.
show?
It's flip phone. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. It's not
Flip
flip
phone.
phone.
How old are you? Flip phone. My lord.
Wait, I just saw something new this morning. You want to know about
Yeah, yeah.
technology? It's a new thing. I think it's $700. I think they're trying to kill the iPhone and everything else. It's a little thing that you clip
Oh,
on your
really?
lapel, and it's a tiny little thing. It has a camera, has everything. Not only
Wow.
that, it projects onto your hand.
Oh, Jesus.
I
Oh,
just saw it
wow.
this morning. Projects onto your hand. It can tell you the temperature, the time, your heartbeat, all these different things. It tells you about your health. You can go jogging with it. You can do all these things, and you can make phone calls on it, right?
Oh, wow.
And it just this little thing. It looks like the size of an iPhone, but the way it connects, it's the battery is the one that connects to the back of it, and it's
Oh,
magnetized. I
okay.
was like, man, I
Okay.
think I want that. But
Well, I was
then
going
I
to
thought of
say,
something. Right? I have my phone here. My phone is here. It's
yeah.
not attached to me. So
Uh,
I'm thinking all those radio waves, if I have it
mm,
attached to my lapel, those radio waves are coming at my heart, right?
yes. Yes.
The radio waves are not, this is on the table over there. It's not
Hmm.
coming at me, it's going that way. And there was a study, and I'm going to be quick about this. There was a woman who got, I think, brain cancer or something like that, right? And they did a study and they found out that she'd always have her earpiece on. I know you're wearing one now, but
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
constantly.
Constantly.
But it was wherever she passed by, I apologize. She had it, she put it in her bra,
Her phone.
her phone, because it was convenient.
Okay.
She put it in her bra.
Right. Okay.
So
Yeah.
now, but then she also had this, so it was convenient for her.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
And she got breast cancer really, really fast. It wasn't brain, I apologize. And they found how do you use your phone? What do you do? Because she was so young and she traveled a lot. And every
Mm,
time she was on her car, every time she reached the tower, the signals would shoot. So they're shooting into her heart
her heart.
or her
Right.
chest, if you will.
Right. Right.
And they realized that it's because if she would have had the phone on her on her on a passenger seat or in a holder, she would have been okay.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
because it's always shooting straight at where she was had her phone on her chest, it caused her to have this crazy rapid cancer buildup. So think about it.
Wow.
Sounds like great technology, but being informed is going to help us. Even though I saw this thing this morning, my first instinct was like, I want one. And then I said, wow, wait a minute, that's going to be attached to my body all
Mhm.
day long? Mm-mm. I don't think I
Just say
can.
the next thing is the chip implant, right? And
Oh,
a lot of
I
people
saw
go,
I saw
"Hey,"
Musk is already asking, he's
yeah.
asking for a volunteer. There
I'm
was
like, I
something
don't
on
know if I want to
Twitter.
be the first, but yeah,
Let's have somebody go, and then 30 years from now, I'll see how much or how healthy are they, right?
well, there's an evolution to everything, right? Even with,
Mhm.
not to go down this road, but just to carry on, I mean, even with medical procedures, somebody had to be the first to get an organ transplant, right?
Of
They had to
course.
be. But and here we are, what is it, 40 or 50 years later? I don't even
Oh,
know how
yeah.
many years we've been doing, but several years later, we're more efficient with it. There's things we know now. There's all kinds of uh, procedures that have, because of technology, thankfully,
Correct. Thank God.
it's been easier. But I'll tell you that that first recipient, that first, organ transplant recipient, I'm sure they were very pleased to receive that organ to get that few extra days of, or weeks or whatever it was of life. But man, oh man, it's more efficient today
Oof.
than it was then,
Yeah.
right? So imagine being the first going, I'll do it. It's like clinical trials are tough. But to your point, though, that the there's being connected all the time to everything, to the point that it does affect our health, be it, because we've got electrical impulses coming all over our bodies or what have you, or there's being connected to nature, there's being connected to
Mhm.
people, there's being
Yeah.
connected to ideas, there's being connected to new and different ways of doing things. that's the connection you want to have. Not always be anytime, day or night, you can take a call. My phone's at me all the time, literally, and giving me, some type of weird cancer or something else as I go.
Oh, yeah. I love how you brought it back full circle, and that's what I was about to do too, because
Sorry, I didn't
we've
mean to
we
steal your fire.
we have been talking on a lot of different topics, right? And we started with speaking, right? And communication
Mhm.
and podcasting. And if you think about everything we did right now, communication,
Yeah.
communication. How I told a story, you told a story, and it's that storytelling that really makes somebody go, tell me more, right?
Yeah.
Because when I started telling you about I made a mistake with the brain, but it was breast cancer. But when I started telling you, you were intrigued a little bit, weren't you?
Mhm. I was leaning in more. Did you notice? I was like,
Yes, I
"Yeah."
did. Really. But when I told you about the little piece of equipment, technology, I was like, "Wow." And the
Mhm.
fact that you can see it in your hand, I'm still pretty amazed by it. And I'm like, "Wow. If that doesn't have a negative effect, I want it." Right? But I don't know if
Yeah,
it will.
yeah,
And
exactly.
you're a big proponent of communication.
Oh, big time, big time.
Why is that important as a leader or in business?
Oh my goodness. How much time do we have again? You
30
want me to just try and
seconds.
wrap this up in 30 seconds? Okay. I hate that when I'm listening to there's a lunchtime news program that'll come on. It's a talk show and they'll have topics and they'll say, okay, only 30 seconds left, and the interviewer will take 20 of those seconds to say, I want to ask this one more question, and only
Mm,
leave 10 seconds for the person to respond. So, but to answer that question, communication is so important because if you cannot communicate clearly, who you are, what it is that you do, what you're passionate about, who's going to follow you? We don't follow ideas. We get
right.
intrigued by ideas, but we follow people who have charisma. We follow
Mhm.
people who have a team behind them who can help to bring about their big ideas. Um, but we really connect with people. So you need to be able to connect with people, especially in business, which is why the the piece about connection and storytelling, like what you and I have been doing today, is so crucial. We
Mm,
connect more with stories. That's why Hollywood is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And I'm not saying that learning institutions don't make money, but I'll tell you
mm.
something. You take a group of students and you say you have the option: go to class today or go see a Hollywood blockbuster. Where do you think they're going to go? They're gonna go to the movies. Of course they
Right.
are, because we're entertained by stories, and we like to see
Mm,
other people's experiences, and that brings us joy, but it also brings us, when we're talking about business here, it brings us the connection that we need. And when you're good at communicating, guess what? You can move an audience to do anything. Orson Welles is probably my biggest fan of this.
mm.
As a communicator, as an orator, how he was able to, if you're familiar with the story of War of the Worlds, 1930s, whatever it
Right.
was able to basically convince a radio audience that Martians had landed. It was so convincing,
Yeah, yeah,
and I know there's another side to the story, but it's still, when you can be that communicative and that convincing, you win. You win
yeah.
every time.
Hands
But if you
down.
can't open your
Hands
mouth, or if your ideas are all over the map, you're not going to make a connection. Or here's something to think about. If you come in with the attitude of, you know what, I'm not really prepared. I'm just going to wing it. I didn't sleep well last night. Imagine if I just showed up in my pajamas and said, hey, you know what, Sifu, I wasn't really prepared for today. So I'm not bringing my A game today. No, no, you always bring your A game regardless. Yeah. So that's why I believe communication is so important. And again, I know I just unpacked a lot, but I think communication is the foundation. You need to be
Do
able
you
to
know how
communicate.
many I've been a guest on other people's shows, and you show up to present, right? To be able to speak clearly, to get your message
Mhm.
across. And I've been on shows where you get this a little bit. It's like this is what you're seeing of the host, and I'm like,
Oh, you like this?
or it's yeah, or it's
Or like
like
this? Hi, how you doing?
That's what I've seen, yeah.
Hey, huh?
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
you see me okay? So now
You and
now I have
I,
to adjust it back to
we're
where it
gonna have
was,
fun all
right?
day, aren't we?
It's true though. It's and
Yeah,
that's an easy fix.
yeah.
And I'm connected with an individual who part of her training is she helps people with their pitch, but
Mhm.
she says the pitch is not just about saying what you do and what you're selling or what you're
Right,
promoting. It's also how do you appear on camera?
yeah.
If it's too dark, if it's too bright, and I know I've got some light here from the one side of my face. I really need new lights or I need to adjust my curtains. But anyways, but I know that. But I'm still showing up as you asked,
Mhm.
no logos in the background, black or clear background or non-intrusive background,
Right,
fairly colorful shirt because that's all black behind me. And you
yeah.
know what? I'm on camera, I've got sound, you can hear me, you can see me, the camera's adjusted to a decent place. Um, because how you show up on camera is how you show up. Are you ready for this? You know where this is going. You know what I'm going to
Oh,
say. It's how
bring
you
it!
show up in business. It's how you show up in everything. And if you half show up, does that mean
Mm.
you're half showing up in everything?
Oof.
Which goes back to the whole concept of free, right? Because
You
when we
know,
think of free, sometimes we just half show up because it's like, oh, it's going to be free anyways. But the person presenting, or if you're the person presenting and you're perceiving your audience, it's only free. So it doesn't matter if I show up in my pajamas and my audio's crappy. Who cares?
mm.
Well, the audience does.
Oh, yeah. You know, it's interesting when we think about not only showing up, but it's the way you showed up, and that's what you talked about. You also
Mhm.
build trust,
Oh,
right? And the way you
and
communicate. And I think that's where, you know, there's so much phony stuff
mhm.
out there. There's still oils, people who are selling oils, right? If you
Mhm.
will, not literal oils, but they're
Snake
snake
oil
oil salesmen,
salespeople,
right?
right? Yeah.
And people who are going to say, "Come to my event. Your life is changing." You show up to the event, and it's the same thing
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
everybody else is doing, or maybe they
Yeah.
copied somebody, and you're like, "Wait a
Yeah.
minute! I saw this
Yeah.
guy who was high level, and you just copied exactly everything they did.
Hmm.
How is this life
Hmm.
changing?" So,
I've seen people do that. I've seen people
oh,
basically rip off somebody else and then and not ripped off enough,
right,
so there's a legal challenge with it, so it's not
right,
like
right.
it's a 100%, it's my
Mhm.
intellectual property you ripped off, it's my concept, it's my idea. Oh, and by the way, you're holding your event the same weekend you're holding mine, but mine actually has a structure or an end result, and
Mm,
yours is kind of just a very cheap or bad imitation of mine without the proper because the only person who can effectively host your events is you. I
yeah.
can't host your events. I
Mhm.
don't know how you present. I don't know what you're offering it. Yeah, okay, you could train me, and that's what a lot of these larger organizations do. You know, the John Maxwell's, the Tony Robbins, they train on a system, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But if we're, solopreneurs, if we're sharing our wares with you, it's based on me. It's based on what I
Mhm.
have to share. So
Mhm.
that's very hard to replicate that. But yeah, there's definitely the cheap imitations, and but they're the ones that guess what? You sometimes end up getting the business from them because what
Right.
happens? People will go to their events, say, wait a minute, it was just like yours, but they missed a very important piece and it was this. So now
Yeah.
you have to unfix what I've so anyways, yeah.
You have to empty your cup,
Yeah.
basically,
Yeah.
right?
Speaking of which,
Or
still working
let
on the
me read
coffee?
your tea leaves for you because
Mm.
guess what? You've been drinking the wrong tea.
Oh yeah.
Uh, so I got to tell you, Carl, it's always a pleasure to have you on the shows. I know that, and if you haven't booked anymore, come on, dude. You know I need you, right?
I think I booked them all, but I think I also
Awesome.
booked in and around the time of year where we get busy. So I'll have to
Mm.
go in and recheck and see which ones I need to reschedule. But no,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
always a great conversation, a great time chatting with you because I think we're cut from a similar piece of
Oh,
cloth,
yeah.
and I think that there's something more here.
Hmm.
I get that vibe. I don't know what the synergy is. I don't know where this is going. I
It,
just
it's
get that
it's
vibe
coming, and I
that
think you and I are going to have to
yeah,
do some workshops or something together.
And
right?
you're not far from me. I'm in Canada. Just I border with upstate New York,
Right.
not too far from. Well, I'll get a little bit of a jaunt from Toronto, but you're down in New York City, if I'm not mistaken. So you're only a
Yes.
6-hour drive away.
Yeah.
So
Let's
either you're
do it.
coming up here, or I'm going down there, or both, and we're going to, as I like to say, when people say, "What are you working on today?" and I'll say, "Global domination." We're going to work on global domination together. We might need a few people to help us along the way, like, for
Yeah.
example, Alex Sanfilippo, who is the one that actually is responsible for connecting us
Nice. Nice. Yeah.
within the PodMatch community. But yeah, there's a great synergy there, I think, and I'm excited to continue to build this relationship with you. So thanks
Let's
for
do
having
it.
me.
Let's do it. Well, I know we're having an event here in New York in either January or February. So I'd love for you to come down and be part of it, and then we'll talk more, of course.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, love to do that. Let me know.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to let our audience know whether they're listening to it live, because we are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube.
Mm.
Wherever you listen to it, do me a favor, hit hashtag live, or if you're watching the replay, hashtag replay. And then let us know what you think of the show. If you like it, if you hate it, if you think I don't know, I need to grow a mustache, whatever. I'm just kidding. I can't grow a
I'll do
mustache.
it too if you need it.
I can't grow a mustache if my life depended on it, but I can always put on a fake one. But I rather come as authentic as I am. And if you like the show, please share it with people, and follow Carl. He's also somebody. If you want to get into podcasting, he's a great person to get in touch with. He definitely will be able to guide you. So everybody, thank you so much, Carl. Thank you for being here, my friend. I look forward to seeing you soon and seeing everybody. Put some comments in there, please. All right. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Carl, don't go away. Give me a sec and then we'll talk.